The concept of a rental marketplace has been something I've been thinking about for a long time, but I think that essentially the time is right for it. In the next couple of years, I'm pretty convinced that we're going to see an explosion of the rental economy, moving away from just renting apartments, houses, large items that we couldn't afford to buy, perhaps, to a much broader range of items. And I think there's going to be various factors kind of driving that. One is just the kind of economic situation, as I've said, of not being able to afford certain things. But I think there's more and more of us who are actually deciding to not have a lot of stuff that we've got to carry around. Perhaps we want to be mobile, like myself, moved here to Romania, and I want to have that flexibility to move around, to be mobile. I don't want to have more than I can easily move in a suitcase. But there are lots of other motivations as well. And one of the ones I'm particularly interested in from an environmental sustainability perspective is that thing of not really wanting to take the risk of the maintenance and the quality issues. Essentially, when you buy something, you're taking all of the risk. Like if that thing breaks past the warranty period, then it's your problem. You've got to deal with it. And I think what we've seen and is kind of widely acknowledged is this idea of designed obsolescence, or at least making things as cheap as possible while still making them last just the warranty period and usually no longer. So I think a lot of people kind of accepted that that's the way that things are, but actually there's no reason why it has to be that way. We've just kind of created those incentives for manufacturers by the rules that we've set. And actually, if you shift to renting, if you're renting from a manufacturer, then suddenly the manufacturer has the incentive to actually make it last as long as possible. And interestingly as well, to use their marketing and their advertising techniques to persuade you to keep it as long as possible. So we really see a reversal, a 180-degree reversal of what happens in the purchase economy. And from a sustainability perspective, that's absolutely essential. I think there's a lot of us that acknowledge that we are really running against a brick wall in terms of a lot of resource constraints as well as energy, and we've got to see some quite radical redesigns. There's a lot of really good sustainable design out there, but we need to give manufacturers the incentive to actually create amazing, sustainable, long-lasting and attractive, timeless designs in the way that they sort of used to out of pride, but now have been kind of squeezed out of the market by the desire to maximize profit in that purchase economy. But now by changing the incentives, we can actually bring that back in, and we can bring back quality, we can bring back longevity. So it's quite a radical idea, but it's also a very simple one for consumers to understand. It's simply, you don't have to buy this, you don't have to take responsibility for it when it breaks. You can rent quality that you could never afford. There are so many motivations for this. I think the first step in this project will be to do some solid customer research, which is my area. That's what I specialize in. I'm a user experience designer as well as a social entrepreneur and an innovator. And so I've got the skills to do that. That's kind of where I'm starting, trying to find out which specific project areas, which products people want to actually rent, what products people are prepared to rent rather than buy. That's the starting point. Start where the customers are, and start, I guess, adjacent to where people are already renting. So, for example, this is a rented apartment that I'm in now. I rented the apartment. I have to kind of put up with what the landlord wanted in terms of furniture. There's no reason why I couldn't rent furniture on the same basis that I rent the apartment. So that's one that I've been exploring. I have a friend who runs a furniture business in the UK. We've been talking about how that could work practically for them. But I'm keen to do research on a bunch of other product areas as well. I've been starting to build a Twitter bot that actually spots when people are tweeting about broken things. You know, oh damn, my headphones are just broken again. Why do my headphones always break? Or whatever it is. But actually to try and extract that using artificial intelligence, machine learning techniques, which is what I studied at university, The code actually tries to identify these entities as manufactured objects, look for tweets that are kind of negative in tone, and then actually automatically reply to them. And I'll reply to them with what's actually a survey that looks a little bit like a prototype. I'll link to it from the application form. It's actually just a type form. It's a very simple survey at this stage, but we can start to collect some data. We can always refine that strategy and refine the questions that we're asking. But essentially, we're trying to scope out which of the product areas we should first target on. But we're also getting actual email addresses, so we can actually email people back and say, hey, we found that thing for you, or we can actually do real prototypes and get real customers, even if we do it entirely manually to start with. Very much a lean strategy, lean startup approach. That's basically the idea. It's very much at a concept stage at the moment, but I'm very keen to, as I say, to do this in a lean startup way, so I don't foresee writing lots of code straight away. Also, what makes it a relatively safe business in many ways is that although it's radical in its implications, a lot of the approaches are really quite well established in the purchase economy. So basically, if you look at something like eBay, look at how eBay works, all the services that they offer alongside that, like payment processing, for instance, with PayPal. Basically, the way that a marketplace works is a very established concept. It's been going for a decade or two now, I guess, on the web. But we just take that learning, we take that business model, and we adjust that for the rental economy. And there will be tweaks. There will be other things that kind of are important in the rental economy, like ongoing maintenance, how to do that in a cost-effective way, etc. Exactly how the reputation system works with things like accidental damage. This kind of thing is a real difficulty, and that's where there'll be potential for innovation. Not really in the core business model. The core business model is just basically coming of age. It's just the time is right for that. But there'll be plenty of innovation in how we actually implement it. So yeah, I think it's an exciting idea, and I look forward to discussing it with you.